Many people have tried studying PRIMMIE in the hopes of learning what makes him so good at Valorant. Whilst it's easy to assume his aim is just better than yours or he taps crouch every now and then, the rabbit hole actually goes a lot deeper. Today we're going to discuss how to min-max our bursting technique, how to time our key presses to maximize evasiveness, what to focus on when it comes to raw aim and aiming skills that are important in these prolonged bursty fights, and what bursting styles and patterns can you start practicing today to start winning more of your gunfights. First of all, we're going to start off with movement and timing of key presses. The first rule/if statement to burn into your brain is actually the exact same one as our angle holding technique. If we shoot, then we move. Just like angle holding, we're looking to cut out the fluff and get rid of any wasted time where we're standing still, floating around doing nothing. You might not notice that you do it, but if you shoot and then try and process what's going on, whether you hit the shot or not before you need to strafe again, that kind of stuff, if there's any kind of fluff whatsoever, then it's simply dead time where you're standing still and making yourself an easier target to hit. Alternatively though, if like angle holding, we just shoot and instantaneously move, now we are much more evasive and we've reduced our time standing still dramatically. Taking a look at PRIMMIE, the first thing you'll notice is that the second he shoots, there is absolutely zero hesitation. He is immediately strafing. He does not check what's going on. He doesn't check if his bullet has landed. It is a sequential movement. If he shoots, then he immediately moves. One thing that I really want you to do to get a feel for this is jump into the range and see how fast you can move after you shoot. Just like PRIMMIE, get it to be sequential and push yourself to get as fast as you can possibly get. Start off by just shooting and then moving, and then eventually try and do that in a bursting strafe, absolutely minimizing the amount of time in which you are standing still. The key is to learn to process what's happening and whether you've hit the shot or not while you're moving. You'll know that you're doing it correctly if you shoot the target, miss the target, but you're still moving immediately afterwards anyways. That shows that whether you hit the shot or not, you're just immediately moving straight away. Now, the second mechanic that is important to understand is the speed bursting technique that PRIMMIE and most other good bursters like ASPAS and such use. The typical dance that you see people do in deathmatch looks something like this. Slow, steady bursts in which you could do them forever if you needed to. However, compare that to PRIMMIE and you'll notice that he shoots a lot faster. If we take a look at the shooting graphs whilst shooting at this speed, you'll notice that after just 4 shots or so, the bullets start to get inaccurate. This is the trade-off. Yes, you can shoot much faster. However, you've only got a limited amount of shots that you can shoot before you start to become inaccurate. And that's precisely why the next section about raw aim is so important, because honestly, I expect you to hit the head in those 4 bursts. However, before continuing, I will let you guys know that we are once again sponsored by Gosu Academy. As much as I'm a mechanical coach, I can respect that game sense is almost more important than being able to shoot people in the face. This means on top of doing the things that I'm teaching you here, we're also going to need to develop this game sense thing, and well, we need some resources to do so. From theory sessions crafted by franchise team coaches to rank-based 10-man custom games that are overlooked by coaches, Gosu Academy has it all, including workshops hosted by special guests. Like, they got me to do one recently, and that's available for you to check out as well if you want to. I haven't mentioned the best part though, and well, that's that you can get all of this for free for 30 days using the link in the description. Thank you again to Gosu for sponsoring the video, and let's get back to raw aim. Now, when it comes to raw aim, this is where things get pretty interesting. Because we are going for these much faster bursts, we are no longer looking for the perfect time to click, because we wouldn't be able to burst as fast if we did. This is no longer dynamic clicking now, as much as most people like to believe so. It actually ends up becoming evasive target switching. Because you're bursting at max speed without waiting for the perfect shot, your job is now to make sure that when you do burst, your crosshair is already on the head. Evasive target switching requires the ability to stay on an evasive target and to be able to manage your tension whilst on it. By mastering this skill, you'll be able to flick to a target, but then once you're on it, you'll be able to relax and gracefully follow it around, replicating its every move. Now add in the fast bursts on top of that, and you'll be unloading a barrage of bullets straight at the enemy's head without any unnecessary flicking or tension or anything of the sort. How we train this is very simple. We want scenarios like this one here, where the targets regen their health if you slip off, punishing you for any time where you are off the target, and then we're going to pick a couple good scenarios, use the free play mode to cater them to your skill level, and then from there, while it's fresh in your mind, you're going to jump straight into the range and give yourself a strafing target to shoot at. Your goal is to simply replicate the exact same style of aiming in the range as you do in Kovacs. In Kovacs, you can't slip off the target, so that means in the range, you can't either. In Kovacs, in order to stay on the target, we need to have low tension, graceful tracking without any sharp janky flicks, and well, in the range, you're gonna replicate that exactly. For the bursting, just find a nice, aggressive, steady rhythm that you can follow without thinking about, and then just keep that in the back of your mind and don't think about when you're actually bursting. You're not looking for the perfect shot, you're just bursting and then making sure that when the bursts do shoot, you're on the head, because just like the Kovacs, you never let your crosshair slip off the target. Bursting styles. The first thing that I'll mention is when it comes to PRIMMIE, the default that I see him do like over and over and over again is he'll go wide, he'll burst, and then he'll immediately go back in the opposite direction and do a crouch, and then he'll go from there. So something like that, right? Where he's just immediately changing directions and crouching and yeah, just going for those speed bursts like we discussed. Some more options though. Something that I've been experimenting with is using the bursts and the speed bursts to go back to cover. And something that I've mentioned in the movement guide, but well worth mentioning again. If we were to, like I was saying, go bang, 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 you can see we start to get inaccurate. And a good way of counteracting that is by going bang, 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 right? We do our 4 bursts, which are all accurate, but by the time we go for the 4th burst, we are behind this wall. Right? That way we can reposition, whatever. It's like we're kind of going for this committed, like hectic fight, but we're also going back towards cover. And it's just an easy way to disengage, right? Right before your bullets start to get too inaccurate. Now, the other main ways to add variation to your bursting technique and create more style to it and a bit more personality to say is obviously by adding in crouches and understanding when to change directions. What I've actually found is unless I'm going back towards cover and I'm going to do those 4 bursts back towards cover, I don't find more success going in one direction. Some people have said, you know, confuse people by going in one direction. I haven't actually found ever more success doing that unless I'm going back towards cover. I find that the directional changes make a big difference, and obviously that's why everyone does it. So I've found a lot more success going back and forth and changing up the direction basically. When it comes to crouches do make a big difference. So how you go about it, again, is up to you, but some options for that is adding it in between the bursts. So this is what I always do. I always start with a standing burst, I then go into a crouch burst, and then I go into another standing burst. And this is usually how I go back towards cover. Another option though that we've seen PRIMMIE do heaps is the crouch on every single burst. So to go, right, it makes you much more evasive, but I won't lie, it is 100 times harder. For me, I've like kind of just said, you know what, going in between bursts is good enough. For me, it's just simple, it gets the job done, right? I just go for that, right? I've said, all right, I'm not going to go for the, you know, every single time as much as I could do it, but it's just so much harder to aim and so much harder to do everything. But it's like high skill ceiling. It's one of those things where if you can pull it off, it's so valuable. It's so valuable. Now, of course, we've got dead zoning and spraying and all that kind of stuff. And I discussed that all in much more detail in my how to actually move guide. So check that out if you're interested. Besides that, nothing else to talk about here, so I'm going to leave you guys to practice and wish you all the best. Coaching sessions are available, link in the description. Get all this knowledge handcrafted specifically for your situation. Make sure you're not wasting any time, nothing. But besides that, I love you all. Take care.